Pope Francis has repeated the Vatican's commitment to assist Timor-Leste in tackling issues related to education and poverty. As he met with government officials in Dili, the pontiff also speaking out against the abuse of youth in the country, calling for all parties to protect children.
Y no olvidemos a tantos niños y adolescentes heridos en su dignidad. Este fenómeno está aflorando en todo el mundo. Todos estamos llamados a actuar como responsabilidad para prevenir todo tipo de abuso y garantizar un crecimiento sereno a nuestros jóvenes.
Timor-Leste is the third stop of the 87-year-old Catholic leader's historic Asia-Pacific tour. It's also the first papal trip to the country since 1989. That was when Timor-Leste was still under Indonesian rule. The nation gained independence in 2002 after Indonesia withdrew troops in 1999. The church played a significant role in the country's path to freedom. In 1996, current President José Ramos Horta and the country's bishop, Carlos Felipe Ximénez Bello, were awarded a joint Nobel Prize for their efforts in ensuring a peaceful end to the conflict. But in 2020, the Vatican confirmed it imposed disciplinary sanctions against Bishop Bello, following a probe into allegations of child sexual abuse. For more, CNA's Leong Wai Kit joins us from Dili. Wai Kit, as we just mentioned, the church, the Catholic Church, played a big part in Timor-Leste's independence. And that is one reason for its very big role in both society and politics in Timor-Leste.
Yeah, that's right. So the relationship between Timor-Leste and the Catholic Church are multi-dimensional. On the diplomatic front, there are official ties between both sides. On the faith front, and you've mentioned this earlier, Wesu, 96%, which means almost all of the Timor-Leste people are Catholics. But there's also a nationalistic relationship with the Catholic Church because, as you said earlier also, Timor-Leste sees the Catholic Church as having played a significant role towards their path to independence. In 1989, when Pope John Paul II visited Timor-Leste, that trip was seen as a catalyst towards pushing Timor-Leste towards independence peacefully. In fact, during that time, the missionaries, priests, nuns, they were seen as having risked their lives to protect civilians under Indonesian rule. And after independence, there is a line in Timor-Leste's constitution that recognizes the significance of the church's involvement in that process. But of course, Pope Francis is visiting in a very different context. It is post-independence. But when he came, he was accorded the highest level of welcome. The president, the prime minister, both men were there at the tarmac to welcome him in person. Now, during his speech earlier, Pope Francis also urged Timorese to tap on their faith and the gospel's teachings to resolve new challenges such as education, poverty, gang violence, and he also took the opportunity to praise Timor-Leste for having made full reconciliation with his Indonesian brothers and sisters.
Wai Kit, you mentioned him meeting government officials, both the Prime Minister and the President. Now, we mentioned earlier as well, the pontiff speaking out against the abuse of youth in the country. Does this suggest that there might be more progress on that pressing issue of child abuse cases linked to the clergy in recent years?
Yeah, it's very obvious that Pope Francis had raised this topic without being prompted. What this shows is that he has zero tolerance for sexual abuse. He's said this before many times, but it's a sensitive topic, as you said earlier, because Bishop Bello, as you said, was one of the Nobel Prize winners in 1996. So he's seen as a national hero. And if you speak to Timorese today, they still see him as that figure. So it's a very fine balance to make when he's here. But this says very loudly about his position on sexual abuse, zero tolerance, and more transparency when it comes to investigating sexual abuses cases.
Leong Wai Kit reporting live there as Pope Francis visits Timor-Leste.